Hello and happy Tuesday. My name is Wendy Lee and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US and super excited that you joined me for some crafty fun today in the studio. I've got a good class for you today. Yes? All right, what are we doing? Well, I don't know about you, but I am loving the Rainbow of Happiness bundle in the new mini catalog, January to June 2022 mini catalog to be exact. So we are going to pull out a couple little items from that, and we're going to make a really cool, what I think is really cool, card where we're going to use our designer paper to create our focal point. Do you guys do that ever? Love designer series paper, and Stampin' Up! Has some of the best papers out there. So why not use them, right? And you can, a lot of times, not every paper pack, but there's a lot of paper packs that you can cut designs right out of the paper. So we're going to kind of focus on that today. So we will get started in just a moment. A couple of things I want to share with you is we have registration open for our next Blue Ridge Stampin' Escape, and we are featuring the same product bundle that I'm going to show you today. You can see a sneak peek of some projects behind me, maybe. Yes. We've got a great fun in store for you. Dana Sullivan and I are partnering again to bring you this online event. So we manage it in a Facebook group if you're not familiar with it. And there are 12 fantabulous projects. So you'll see a variety of cards and gift card holders and some 3D, all that fun stuff. And then we've got a bonus class option as well that you can choose to participate in if you'd like to. So registration is open. I'll put a link in the video description, but you can also find it under my classes and events tab on my website at CreativeLeeYours.com. All right, should we switch over and start our crafty fun? I think we should. All right. Oh, I didn't show you a sneak peek. I'll show you when we switch it over, right? All right, perfect. So as I mentioned, we are featuring the Rainbow of Happiness bundle. So this is the Stamp and Die bundle. And again, you can find this in the mini catalog, and there's lots of great images in here, and we'll talk about them as we go a little bit here. And then I've also pulled in this awesome Sunshine and Rainbows paper stack. So it's a 6x6 paper stack. And it's in our celebration offering. So this means you cannot purchase this. This is a paper pack that you only get when you place a Stampin' Up! Order, right? Get your product, and then you get this as one of your free options if you'd like to. So for every $50 that you spend now through the end of February, so February 28th, 2022, you can choose this as one of your free products, right? It's awesome. And look, this is a double pack. So you got 12 designs instead of 6 double-sided designs. Awesome. And again, let me bring that back in and show you these great dies. All right. Let me move this out of the way. You're waiting for me to show you what we're making. We are making this super cute double rainbow card. So I'm going to talk to you about this. This all came out of the designer paper, and I'm going to show you how I cut this little cloud border there. I'm so glad you guys are joining me today. Good to see some familiar faces coming in. Welcome, ladies. So glad to have you here, and gentlemen, right? All right, so let's get started with this one. So I'm going to slide this over. I'm going to start with a Magenta Madness card base. And I will make sure that I put the complete supply list with links so that you can go out and purchase any products that you might need, as well as the cut dimensions. So you've got everything you need to recreate this project. All right, so this is a 4 1/4 by 11-inch piece of cardstock, card base. So you guys know that anytime you cut your cardstock, our basic 8.5 by 11 cardstock in half, in either direction, you can make a full-size card. So I'll do that video on that another day, right? All right, then I've got a piece of basic white cardstock and a piece that I've cut from the designer paper. So this is going to be my background layer, and I'm going to go ahead and just add a little stamp and seal to this. Get this going. Lovely. And of course, let's pop this up on the card front. Now you don't have to pop them up if you don't want to. Those that know me know that I like lots of dimension in my projects. So I like to pop up my layers. Great. And we'll just dab one in the center. So if you wanted to use the black dimensionals, you could, if you prefer that versus the white ones. I don't think it matters on this card with the coloring. All right, somewhat center that. All right, so that's already beautiful. It looks like a starry night, doesn't it? There's some other really great prints that I think would make great backgrounds for this particular layout as well. All right, next, I am going to bring in this sheet of Designer Series paper here, and I'm going to fussy cut these rainbows out. So let's go ahead and just choose a couple of these rainbows here. I'm just going to roughly cut so I can get 2 of them because I need 2 because I'm making a double rainbow, right? And I'm just going to cut around these. If you want to leave a little white space, you can. I find that if I use deeper down into the scissor versus the tip, I do a little bit better in my cutting. And I'm not great at fussy cutting. It is not one of my favorite things to do. I will go ahead and admit that to you. You know what? You actually probably don't even have to cut that bottom edge off because of what we're doing, but it's fine. I did it anyway. So I like to turn the paper if I can versus the scissors. I actually get a little better cut. So that was not my best cutting job. So let's do another one. We're going to do 2 either way, even if my cutting job is bad. We're good. Hopefully it's better on this one. I'm doing a little better leaving a white space. That last one, I didn't leave any white space. Again, I think that's a personal preference on if you like the white space or if you don't like the white space. Let's go in this way. And hopefully I'm staying in the camera here. I like to pull it towards me for whatever reason when I'm cutting. All right, move those scraps out of the way. Perfect, perfect. And I'm going to leave this little edge on here. I don't think it matters if I leave it on or not, right? Because we're going to cover it with our lovely cloud. So the next thing I want to do is I went ahead and took a couple other prints out of the designer paper and I cut these little rainbows out of it. So let me show you what I used to do that. So in this die set, we've got this lovely rainbow here. So you would think this would cut out the outline of this, but if it does not. So let me show you. I've got a piece of white cardstock that I've run this through. So here's what you can see happens. When you use this particular die, it's going to cut out all these little rainbow arches, right? So these various arches. So that's what I did with my designer paper to get these pieces here. So they're the 2 smallest. And then this is your negative that you're left with. So I want you to see how that works. So it wouldn't actually, if I cut this, it would actually cut it into multiple pieces. And that's not what I wanted for this card. So I went ahead and just fussy cut it right out of the layer there. Hopefully that makes sense. I just wanted you guys to see what that die actually does. Okay, so let's go ahead and adhere these cute little strips to our rainbows. And all I'm doing by doing this, you know, they're cute how they are. But I wanted to add a little bit more of the design in it. So I'm taking in some other pieces of the designer paper, just add a little more texture there, right? Doesn't that really change it up? It's a nice subtle touch, but it really changes it up some. So we're gonna put another one right here. Well, if I can get this glue to come out. Oh, liquid glue. Makes me crazy. So you could have put adhesive sheets. If you don't like liquid glue, you could always put adhesive sheets on the back. So it makes a huge difference, right? So let's go ahead and add these to the others. And I've chosen to only do 2 of the arches. And then on the third one, we're going to add a little bit of Wink of Stella, and then we'll leave one as is. Cute. Now you could bring in some of the stamps and add a little texture by adding stamped images on top of some of these rainbow arches. It's really whatever you want to do. Cute, 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 cute. All right, let's go ahead and pull in our Wink of Stella. And I am going to just add a little to this Melon Mambo arch. So that'll just give us a little bit of shimmer as we go through here. Now, if you have trouble with your Wink Stella, so when it first comes, and I didn't know this in the beginning, there's a little black band that sits, you know, right in there. You actually have to remove that to get this to work the first time. And then you've got to give it a little squeeze to get it's kind of like an old style paint pens if you're not familiar with it. So when you do this, kind of primes it so that it brings the sparkle to the surface. So you'll actually kind of see the silvery stuff come up. Now, I highly recommend anytime you're going to squeeze this, because you can't get it to come out, do it over your silicone craft sheet, right? So you can see that's bubbling. Maybe you guys can see that. I hope so. So what that's doing, it's pushing that ink. And so sometimes when you squeeze it, it's going to pull out and leave a big blob. I find it's much safer to do that over the top of your silicone craft sheet versus your project, because what happens or tends to happen, at least to me, is that a big blob comes out and it soaks your paper, and it's not as pretty when it does that. So it's a little too much and it's hard to get it off of the paper or spread out in time to be able to do fun things with it. So if it's on the silicone craft sheet, you can just lift it and add it wherever you want to in your project. So I hope you guys can see how fabulous that is. Nice. Okay, so those are our rainbows. Now I'm going to wait to put these on until I have my cloud cut out. So let's move this over. I don't normally die cut with you guys in the video, but I wanted to show you this because I felt like it was something that might give people a little bit of a struggle. So I'm going to pull in my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss because that will go into the camera pretty easily, and it's not going to take up too much space. So cute. And I love that our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machines, both the larger one and the smaller one, have this fold up design, right? They're nice and sturdy. Now, the next thing I want to do is I am going to bring in these basic border dies. I'm going to use this one right here. So this is how I'm going to create my cloud. All right, so I'm pulling in my plates. So the plates come with the plates that you need to start off, come with the machine itself. And they have instructions, pictorial as well as verbal, so you know exactly what you need. So this one, number one, it says place die cutting edge down. So you can see I need plate 1 and 2 of plate 2s. And Stampin' Up! Has done a great job of labeling these for us. So they have little numbers on them, so you know exactly what you're looking at. So I've got plate 1, plate 2. I need to put my cardstock and my die on here, and then I'll put another plate 2 on top. Now, I'll tell you guys, when I am using my machines, I try to keep one plate on the bottom that gets all cut up, because the more you use it, the less you're going to be able to see through this. You also want to make sure that you flip them back and forth and that you don't put everything in the center every time. You want to use all of the plate, and that is going to help keep it from bowing on you. All right. So you've got that. So let's go ahead and let me show you how I'm going to lay this out, and then we'll put it in the machine. All right, so here is my cardstock piece right here. And I want to lay my die on it wherever I want it to be. And I'm angling my die because I want my little fluffy clouds to be up kind of high on the edge there. I want to take up the full width, okay? And then I want to lay this right on my die cutting plate. Now, a couple of things you have to watch for this particular die is the length of it. So whether you're using the big machine or the small machine, when you slide it through, don't send it through straight like this. Well, obviously the small machine, it won't work. But even in the big machine, you want to angle it because you're not going to get as much bowing that happens to your die if you do that. So I'm going to lay this on here where I want it to be. Now, here's where the first problem happens with our dies is that since we don't have a magnet plate that we sell currently, you've got to be really careful when you lay this down so it doesn't shift on you. Now, we've not pre-stamped anything here, so this is a little bit more forgiving than maybe some. But if you don't want it to shift, you could always use something like a washi tape or a removable painter's tape, and just put a little edge on there. I'm going to go ahead and go in without it. I don't like to put tape on my dies particularly because it does leave a little bit of a sticky residue. Yes, you can wash that off, but I'm going to try to avoid it. The other thing to keep in mind, and this is particular with this mini machine, is that if all your plates are stacked nice and even, at the end, they actually have a little bit of a harder time going through because this one has a smaller opening, so it doesn't have as much force to be able to pull it through. So stagger your plates just slightly. And see, you can see that I've got it staggered. I'm going to stagger it a little bit more from that bottom one so you can see all three edges right there. Good. And then let's bring back in our machine. Let's see if we can get this bad boy to go through. Okay. So I'm just going to slide that in. And of course, I've kept my hand on it and kept it squeezed. Now, I apologize that this is going to make a bit of a shaking motion. Well, maybe a lot of a shaking motion as I wheel this through. I love that it gives me nice, great, even pressure. And it does a really nice job of cutting. So let's remove this and we can see that's the top edge of our cloud. Cool, right? All right, so let me switch this. I just rotated the die, so I just cut it like this. I'm going to rotate it and use the other side. Now, I want to slide what I'm doing over a little bit, so I end up with a little bit different of a shape here, right? Because I don't want it to be even top to bottom. So I'm going to lay this down. And again, I'm going to slide this plate right on top. Just double check it, make sure I'm happy with it. Again, I could have put some tape on the end of my die and I'm not running it straight. I've got it angled a little bit, but everything's well contained inside the plates there. Hopefully you guys can see that all right. So while I'm holding this, I'm going to bring back in my machine. I'm going to slide that in and hopefully I don't have my plates too even. And apologies again as this shakes the table. Great. And out of the way. And now we can see this other side and we've got our super cute cloud border. All right, let me get these out of the way. We'll just fold this up and just slide this back under the table. So super easy to use if you had not done that before. So now that we've got our cute cloud, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment right in the middle of it. So let's see what I've got here. So I'm using my Misty Moonlight ink. And I've got this You Make Me Happy sentiment. It's my favorite one in the stamp set. And I'm going to stamp it off to one side. I don't want it centered necessarily, left to right. I don't know if it really matters. It's whatever your personal preference is. All right. Good. All right. So let's go ahead and work on getting this card front put together. So I'm going to start off by putting my top cloud down right where I want it. And we're going to use dimensionals to do this. Again, if you don't like things so popped up, you do not have to do it this way. You can do them flat. It'll be just as super cute, right? All right, so let's go ahead and slide this where I want it. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball, maybe it's a little high. There we go. Nice. And then I want to place this so that it's going to cover. So I'm just going to kind of hold it there as a guide, right? I want to go as low as I can, but what I'm looking at is I want to make sure it covers the bottom of that rainbow. So if I slide it down a little bit, it's too low so you can see that edge. Granted, that's your personal preference, but what I'm looking at is barely covering that bottom edge because I want to see as much of that beautiful rainbow as possible. Now for the other side, I'm just going to slide that in. So let's go ahead and put our dimensionals on there. Oh, look, I'm almost out. So let's just clip the sides so we can use this full sheet. You guys know this already, I'm sure, but for anyone new that may not have known this, let's just clip the edges and we can use the whole sheet of dimensionals. Every little bit of it you can use. Great. Oh, good. I'm glad you guys are liking it. Yeah, it's super fun and cheerful. This rainbow set just makes me happy, right? You make me happy. All right. So again, I'm going to eyeball this and kind of set that so that it's covering the bottom of that rainbow. Oh, I'm totally crooked. You know what? I'm not going to mess with it because it doesn't matter because that covers it, right? So we're all good there. All right, so now I know I'm going to place this down, and I want to make sure that I don't get my dimensionals in the way of these that are there, right? These rainbows. So I'm going to kind of eyeball it as I go. I'm going to start off by putting some in the middle, right? Because I should be safe having these little dimensionals in the middle here. And I might be a little excessive with using the ones I'm using, but I'm going to do it anyway. I want to make sure it's nice and sturdy, stable, whichever way you want to call it. So if you wanted to, you could add some liquid glue to the edges if you didn't want it to pop away from the clouds. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I could always go back in and slide in some extra dimensionals if I need them. Oh, I think that worked really well. Cute, right? Ooh, I love it, love it, love it. All right, let's add a little bit of bling. So I'm going to bring in the new iridescent rhinestones. Love these. And mine are in parts and pieces because I've already cut them. I cut into them. I like, for whatever reason, I cut into my stuff like this. So let's bring in my take your pick best tool ever to be able to take these off this crazy slick sheet. So I like to work in odd numbers. So let's add 3 because that's a nice odd numbers. And I'm doing all 3 sizes, right? I like that. Actually, that one's a little further in than I want. So let's see if I can pop this off without ripping my paper. We'll see. Yay. All right. I want it moved over just a little bit. I don't like them when they're straight in line. All right. Great. Let's pull in some more. Let's pull in another one of these giant ones. I'll put that down there. And so I'm going to do 3 on the other end, just like I did there. Kind of go like that, maybe. So I technically have an even number, 6. However, there's groups of 3. So I'm going to count that, right? I could add another one and make it an odd number, but I think because they're grouped in odd numbers, they're still really pretty and it adds a nice little bling. So you've got the great textures that we pulled out of some of the other designs. And then we added the one rainbow arch with the Wink Stella. So much fun, I think. And a fast, easy card really to do. All right, let's go ahead and complete the inside because we don't like the insides to be blank. So I've got another layer of white, same size as the outside one. And I've got another rainbow that I've cut out of the designer paper. And I'm just going to slide that on the inside like that. Let's see how I did the original one. Yep. Looks like that's what I did there too. Okay, so let's just add a little bit of liquid glue because of the shape I'm dealing with. That is the adhesive I'm choosing. You could use Stampin' Seal if you'd like to. Oh, good. You guys are liking this one? Yeah, it's super happy. And wouldn't you love to get this in the mail from a friend? Nice. So I think you could use this for birthday, you know, telling somebody that they make you happy and then just say happy birthday. You know, it's a great summertime card. You know, it's yucky outside today. We had freezing rain and snow and sleet and all that messiness. So our driveway is like an ice storm right now. So I needed a bright, cheerful card today. Fun. And I love the pop of color the magenta background gives you. The iridescent gems pick up all the colors that are on the card. So fun. Love it. I hope you guys like this. So as I said, this bundle, this Rainbow of Happiness bundle, it's so happy. It's so fun to work with. And when you combine it with that Sunshine and Rainbows designer paper, I actually didn't think I was going to like that paper, but it's really nice. There's lots of great prints in it. So if this is one of the bundles on your list, definitely consider joining Dana and I for the Blue Ridge Stamp and Escape because we are going to have a wonderful time with great projects that you're going to love. And we cut everything and we send it to you in the mail. You get lots of goodies. You get to customize your cards a little bit by choosing which prints in your designer paper you want to use for your projects. But it's all good. It's got video tutorials, PDF tutorials, all that goodness. So, all right. If you guys love today's project, be sure to share it with your crafty friends. Give me some thumbs up. I will go back after the video and check comments to make sure I didn't miss any questions. And definitely share this with your crafty friends. Let them know about me. That helps me out a lot. If you're watching on YouTube, the replay, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and then you won't miss the next card class. All right. Thank you all so much. And I can't wait to see you again next Tuesday for a little more paper crafting fun. All right. Thanks so much, and bye for now.